How did it ever reach this point that even infanticide could be enshrined in a state constitution? Why does God permit evil, and where is the hope? Startling revelation, sure to satisfy and inspire. How did we ever reach this point? 2 points. I'll sum up this question in 30 words or less. Number 1, the release from hell of Antichrist 666. That's number 1. 7 words. And here's another 22 words from Our Lady on June 30th, 1984. All of this suffering, my children, mankind has brought upon himself. When he left the eternal Father, he turned to Satan, and this is his reward. Here's your answer, right there. We can all go home. There's going to be a snowstorm. Let's go. What else do you need to know? Those 2 things. That's why how many people in your life, those who cross your paths, work, home, they're like, if they have any grace, I'm talking about anyone that has any grace, how could this happen? How can you kill a baby? How could you legalize infanticide? And not only that, you applaud it. And then our leaders, the governor, lights up 4 major landmarks in celebration of killing babies. Ah! How can this happen? Mamma mia. Woo! That's why. The release from hell of Antichrist 666, and like Our Lady said, when you left the eternal Father, you turned to Satan, and this is your reward. And we ain't seen nothing yet. That's the scary part. And not to overwhelm you, but it's true, isn't it? We thought it was bad 4 years ago. 10 years ago, we thought it was bad, and so forth. It's just getting worse and worse. But let's not forget there's always hope. So let's go back to number 1. What do you mean by that, Michael? Release from hell of Antichrist 666. And some of you have heard this, obviously, through the years, but this is going to be a good refresher. And I think you're going to, if you're like me, every time I review it, I pick up new things all the time. So let's go back with Our Lady's message. The release from hell of Antichrist 666, and we'll enlarge a little bit on our golden warrior. Antichrist into your land, number 2. Okay? So the first question you have, maybe, if you didn't have a chance to read this or you quite didn't comprehend it, is, and like some people said on Facebook, if you read Facebook, some of the comments, number 2, well, what's number 1? Well, you guys should know this, all of you Bayside scholars, but we'll review this. Antichrist number 1, Our Lady said, remember January 21st, 1971, this was the day, my children, when this man of perdition came to your city and entered your holy church. Remember this date, my children, for it was a sad day for mankind, for what could be sadder than the entrance of Antichrist into your land? That's when Lucifer entered New York City for the first time, January 21st, 1971. Is that a big deal? I think so. Very big deal, as you'll hear. And he got to work right away, good people. That dastardly creature. And he went to work right away. Before he came to New York on January 21st, 71, this is the same event, he went to Albany. He went to Albany, and what did he do there? At the time in New York City in 1970, when Lucifer came upon Albany, when he went to Albany, New York City, New York, all of the country, virtually abortions were prohibited. in 1970. On July 1st, 1970, it was signed into law, a new abortion law permitting abortion for the first 24 weeks of pregnancy or gestation. New York was the first state to liberalize their abortion law. And even the New York Times dubbed New York City the abortion capital because 250,000 abortions were performed in New York City after that law was signed on July 1st, 1970 by Governor Nelson Rockefeller. And so that's why Jesus says here, he, Lucifer the Antichrist, was in Albany first to promote the murderous evil of the killing of the young. And then Veronica the Cross adds, abortion was legalized because of Lucifer and his agents showing up in Albany and taking over the bodies of influential individuals who were out of grace without faith. I mean, can you see why Our Lady's saying to remember this date? His primary intent, Lucifer, was to come to New York City. And why? Because New York, well, let's go to the videotape, as they say. Let's use Our Lady's words. That's the best words possible. Our Lady, October 1st, 1977, because of the major role the city of New York plays in the world governments and the governing of your nation, it is for this reason that Satan chose that area for his start, to bring into your country a full overthrow of Christian belief. End of quote. That's why he chose New York City. Although certainly you don't need Our Lady if you know New York and you know its power. How many trillions of dollars are passed through Wall Street? These are the money powers of the world going through Wall Street in New York. Who else has their seat in New York City? The brood of vipers. United Nations, which Our Lady called the brood of vipers, and well, Our Lady and our Lord had a list from here to kingdom come, not very complimentary of the United Nations, and for good reason. So that's why he came to New York City. But again, before that, he was instrumental. Oh, he was the reason why he orchestrated Lucifer. And as I'll show you later, not only Lucifer, which is demon number 1, demon number 2. Both those demons were in Albany, and they orchestrated the passage of this liberal abortion law that was signed on July 1st, 1970. That's Antichrist into your land number 1, if you will, that whole event. Antichrist into your land number 2, of course you know that. What's that? What's that date? January 22nd, 2019, right? Isn't that an Antichrist into your land, number 2? January 22nd, 2019, when Governor Cuomo signed into law that new satanic abortion bill, which allows virtually, I don't want to hear it allows virtually unrestricted abortion up until the birth of the baby. And, as you know, if there's a botched abortion, you can kill the baby if you choose to. So if the baby's born alive and it's right there, you can kill it. If the family, if you discuss it with the doctor, and you can kill the baby too. And there's no problem. It's not a criminal act. There's nothing criminal about abortion anymore, because also what happened is they eliminated abortion from the penal code. Before, you had, from here to Main Street, statutes and laws against abortion. Now it's completely eliminated from the penal code in New York State and many other places as well. And non-doctors can perform abortions. So you don't even need to be a doctor. And I think you get the point. This is right from the bowels of hell. And if you read anything, I had to do some research on the occult a little bit, kind of spooky, freaky, yucky, but you'll see a lot of the leaders in the occult, Satanism, even ministers. I didn't see any Catholic, thanks be to God, but in Protestant ministers that have referred to abortion as a sacrament, as a blessing. Oh no, that's their buzzword. No, that's abortion is a sacrament and even a blessing. Hey, Mamma Mia. So that's what you have going on here. So that's why we said Antichrist into your land number 2, because of what Como signed into effect. And as we said in this newsletter, good people, what we feared, and it really didn't take a rocket science major to figure this one out, that it's going to spread. Because like Our Lady said, anything in New York, it fans out. The evil fans out. And it spreads like cancer. And sure enough, Vermont, New Mexico, and in fact, there's up to 30 states right now that want to copy this similar legislation right now. 30 states. That's what I last read. But Vermont just passed something which is, that's even worse than New York, if that's possible. Because they actually say on paper, it's unrestricted, period. Abortion is unrestricted. No, for any reason or no reason. If you want an abortion up until the birth of the baby, no problem. In New Mexico, I understand if Roe versus Wade is overturned, a lot of them have these contingency plans with these new bills that they want to protect the right to abortion. And my understanding, I was in New Mexico last month, my understanding is that doctors will be forced. You have to you have to perform an abortion. There's no conscience clause in New Mexico if Roe versus Wade is overturned. And that's why we're saying right here, I think we said in the newsletter, the only thing that's criminal in this new law is if you're pro-life. That's really what it's coming to, isn't it? You won't be able to speak about pro-life. You won't be able to protest. You can't voice your voice for the voiceless, defend the defenseless, and so forth. Scary stuff. Very, very scary stuff. That's why Our Lady said there will be a great earthquake in the area of New York, no question. We need a wake-up call. And this is so, it's so heinous as it is, but when you have the state assembly clapping as Governor Cuomo is signing the bill, and then he puts one World Trade Center in pink, and his bridge that's named after his father. We mentioned about New York City, and I think you all know, why did Our Lady appear in New York City? Because of abortion. Because of abortion. Here we have, again, the game of chess. Good against evil. You have Our Lady and St. Michael against Lucifer. And it's a game of chess. So Lucifer says, okay, I'm coming to New York. Okay, and Our Lady said, well, I'm going to set up a shrine. I'm going to set up a shrine. And I know what you're going to do July 1st, 1970. You're going to initiate, you're going to orchestrate the passage of the murderous killing of babies, as to use the term of our Lord. So I'm going to have my first vigil June 18th, 1970, 2 weeks before. It's countering, you know? Okay? You do this, I'll do that. You do this, I'll do that. So it is amazing. It is amazing because you would think New York City, that would be the last place that the Blessed Mother would be appearing in. New York City, Babylon, as Our Lady calls it, Babylon. No, they're tough. They're gonna go right into the hornet's nest. When Our Lady talks about, remember January 21st, 1971, remember, as I read Our Lady's quote, that Lucifer possessed a priest. This priest, we'll call him Father, Veronica called him Father Michael. But wouldn't you know it, this priest that was possessed, and it's not wouldn't you know it, this was all designed by Lucifer. he was stationed at St. Robert Bellarmine during this time. This is what he did. This was his plan, was to come to St. Robert Bellarmine. And why St. Robert Bellarmine? Why? Because of Veronica. Well, Veronica, wait, that's not the right answer. Veronica would be horrified if you said that. Because of Our Lady of the Roses, Mary Help Mother Shrine. Veronica's deceased. God bless her, and she will be canonized one day. The shrine lives on. It's the shrine. Her message, Our Lady said millions will come, and so forth. That's what Satan saw. And he already experienced how many souls have been snatched through Veronica the Cross and her perseverance and love, through Our Lady of the Roses mouth. How many souls? Countless. We'll only know in the next life. Satan knows this. He knows that a shrine in New York City was going to be established. And so he's panicking. Literally, in human terms, he's panicking. Who is this woman? Because Jesus told him, he's coming to St. Robert Bellarmine to see you. If I can just picture Veronica saying, see me? Why does he want to see me? Well, that's why. He wants to see, who's this woman that's going to be establishing this shrine, that's going to be snatching all these souls from hell, that's going to be a shrine that will be from here unto eternity. Who's going to be doing this? Veronica Lucan? Who is this woman? I'm checking her out. I'm not only not going to check her out, I'll be attacking her. I'll be attacking her big time. And what I'll also do along the way is I'll be living in the rectory. And I will destroy this shrine. All I have to do is get the ear of the Pastor McDonald and the assistants and just say this is a kooky woman, and I'll get them. And he did. He did. He destroyed. He did. As Our Lady said, he did his job well, or he's done his job well. And so I'll be with you. We'll open up the field for questions. So that's what happened. And some of you, I don't know, so I see Gretchen is here, and I think the gentleman, I forget the gentleman, some of you are fairly new. You say, Michael, this is too much to bear. Satan, Lucifer possessing a priest in 1971. Well, let's put it this way. Interestingly, if you need more evidence here to show you the state of his soul, and it doesn't necessarily mean anything, I don't want to make personal judgment, but the fact is he committed suicide on August 3rd, 1994. Veronica died on August 3rd, 1995. I thought that was interesting, the good and evil. And the Brooklyn Diocese, they just released the names of priests that are guilty of sexual abuse of minors. Guess who's on that list? So, again, I'm not suggesting that everyone that does this is possessed or anything. I'm just trying to, this is some more things, this is just for your consideration. And you can see that this was a very disturbed, this was a troubled priest, to say the least. And so, that's what we have right here. And Veronica did, and if you review Conversations with Jesus, we don't have time to do that, but you might want to do that. Most of you have that book, and she goes into the full detail, and she did have that eye-to-eye contact with Father Miguel. And she said it was horrific. She said she saw his eyes, they were just bottomless. They were black and bottomless, empty, hollow. She said it was just absolutely horrific, or spooky, demonic. Plus he had like a gray mist over him a little bit. She said it was just awful. And he looked at her, and Veronica looked at him. And so that's what happened. That's what happened there, good people, that he caused a lot of problems. He destroyed the shrine in the beginning, so it got off on the wrong foot. That's why he came to Bayside. One last note on that. I think we've shown it before. Oh, do you remember that picture? He was the drama teacher at Cathedral Prep. And Queens. Remember, I showed you this picture? He was the drama teacher. They have a picture of him holding a pitchfork. Wow. So this was obviously very disturbed. So I think it bears out that this was a priest that was possessed by Lucifer. I think that's what I'm trying to say here. And he did tremendous damage to the mission. But we know that God will prevail. I think to good people, though, that's why we have St. Michael the Archangel, the importance of St. Michael the Archangel, and the need for his presence in your life. An image, a statue, a medal, anything. That's why you need his presence in your life, because of the presence of Lucifer and his minions. So let's go to the next thing. Can everyone see that? 666. Our Lady explains. 666. What does it mean? Lucifer, 5 major demons, and their minions, their armies. Not just 6 or 12 or 18. No, minions, millions that are released upon earth. The second 6 is the 6 days of suffering. The first 3 are World War III, and the next 3 is the fiery comet. And the last 6 for the 6 who are going to be rechained. Okay, Lucifer and 5 major demons. They're going to be crushed by the Blessed Mother, and then they're going to be rechained by Saint Michael the Archangel. Okay, so when were these demons released? Well, all of you Bayside scholars, you know the dates, right? You do? 71. No. He came to New York City in 1971. When was Lucifer released? 1940. Demon number 1 is Lucifer. Our Lady said Earth year 1940 was when Lucifer was released. Demon number 2. When was he released? Demon 1, Lucifer, 1940. Demon 2, we already said it, right? 1970. Where was Demon 2? What was the damage he did that we know of that I just mentioned to you? Abortion. He was in Albany with Lucifer. As Our Lady, as Jesus said, Veronica said, he overtook or possessed, if you will, men of influence and not of the faith and not of grace. So he was released in 1970. Number 3. Demon 3 was released July 15th, 1972. Our Lady said. Demon number 4. Let's go over here. Demon 4 is Christmas 1972, around there. I don't think it was actually Christmas Day. It was based on the messages right around there. Demon 5. What is this with 715? Brown scapula, right? See, it's a weapon. That's a major weapon, is the brown. I don't know. Do you have any other ideas? Why is they're mocking the Blessed Mother, aren't they? They're mocking the Carmelite order. They're mocking the brown scapula. How many times has Our Lady said at Fatima and Bayside? It's the rosary and the scapula are the major weapons. I know doesn't sound very sophisticated, and you'd like to have some theologian with a string of letters after him say something, but that's what the devil fears. Rosary and brown scapula. And St. Michael. Okay, number 6. I won't put before. It's not exactly that date. It was around there. It was before April 17th, 1976. There you have it. The 6 major demons right there. Our Lady said, that's why, if you're wondering, even Our Lady has said, these are obviously not normal times. You have unnatural murders. You have this insanity going on. This is why. It's coming up from the pits of hell. And they, again, I would want to emphasize, have armies with them. Our Lady referred to the word, remember the stratosphere? The stratosphere of full. There's not an inch without a demon in the stratosphere. So, what was that, Gretchen?
How come it went for 30 years without any of
Prayer. Our Lady keeps on saying, ideally, don't laugh. James Donnie is going to laugh at me, I know. But we could send them all back to hell. You really could. Our Lady has said that if we actually had a proclamation of a day of fasting, or maybe we might need a month, so whatever. If people return to God and the 10 Commandments, if there was the corporal and spiritual works of mercy, you get the point. We could send them back to hell. We could. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to get people to the holy grounds to pray. The pilgrims outdoors, that's very powerful reparative prayer. Absolutely, yeah. So that's what we have right there, good people. That's, I think, answers our first question. How did it ever reach this point? If you're wondering, how could it reach this point? There's your major reason. There's your number one reason. The other two is when you reject the Eternal Father, you turn to Lucifer. As Our Lady said, this is your reward. You make choices, there's consequences. You pay for it. And I think it's interesting when we talk about Father McKellen possession. And the other interesting thing that Our Lady said, that was in 1971 that Lucifer possessed Father McKell. Now, they can go from body to body, any man, woman, or child not in the state of grace. Well, Our Lady said that he actually possessed the head of Wicca. August 13th, 1977, in your country now is the highest head of Wicca. So it's the International Organization of Witches and Warlocks, right? Right. So in your country now is the highest head of Wicca. And then Our Lady says here, same message. Oh, this is actually St. Michael. He's chanting the following words, "Be ye known now, it has been loosed on earth, Satan. Satan, the king of darkness, Satan, the master of deceit. His time is short, but he is loose. He entered into the body of a man in 1975, a man who gave himself to him in the practice of the cult." Anyone know who that name is? Stephen West. He used to be on Long Island. I was doing some research on this. I was surprised to see that Long Island is a hotbed of witchcraft and Satanism. A lot of covens out there, which Our Lady alluded to in the message, right? And I think some of it, we don't have time now, but some of it dates back to the original founder of Wicca, the modern founder of Wicca from England. He set up shop, I'm going to say Syosset. Is it Syosset, Mimi, do you know? He set up a center, and as a result, it's really established roots there, and hence Long Island has been kind of a hotbed for the occult and Satanism. And then weren't there a lot of dead carcasses and cows and bloodletting and all that stuff? Yes. In Suffolk County. Right. Well, remember they were chanting under the windowsill of Veronica of the Cross. They went to her home, and it's right in the message. They were chanting under her windowsill. Yes, yeah. And also, too, in Staten Island, if my memory serves, they attacked her, the witches attacked her in Staten Island as well and harassed her. So this is the influence, the influence of Lucifer, too. Witchcraft, the occult, Satanism, which has proliferated, hasn't it, in the last 30 or 40 years? Big time. It's a religion.
I
Heavenly Father is throughout the world. Look at this garbage, right?
Yeah. And of course, that's part of their plan. That this is harmless, it's white witchcraft, and so it's harmless, and right. And Our Lady has said there's no such thing as white witchcraft or black witchcraft. It's all evil. It all comes from the Father downstairs. The Father, boy, the deceiver, the master deceiver. One last point, it's interesting too that you should know, I think in your discipleship as well, especially if you're imparting this information and people are like, what, this is too much to bear. Cardinal Burke, remember, we did a whole program last year on Cardinal Burke. He said, perhaps we are in the end days. Cardinal Burke said that. And this Cardinal Willem Ike, he's from the Netherlands, and he was saying that because of the confusion and division that the pontificate of Pope Francis has engendered or has produced, he thought we might be in the final trial where the mystery of iniquity reveals himself and so forth. And he's quoting the Catholic Catechism. And this is a cardinal in the Netherlands right now, very good cardinal. And lastly, if you read Cardinal Mueller, did you read his manifesto on the faith? Then you know that then you might remember he talks about the fraud of Antichrist. That's his terminology, the fraud of Antichrist. And what a tremendous service he did, Cardinal Mueller, the former prefect of the Congregation for the Doctrine of the Faith, from 2012 to 2017, I think. And it was just released on February 8th. If you haven't read it, you should. And he found a need to do that because of Pope Francis. Basically, everything he wrote was countering Pope Francis and some of his doctrinal flaws, if you will, or so quite interesting. So there's a lot of cardinals and bishops now that have come out and are suggesting, what's going on here? Are we in the last days? Is Satan loosed upon earth? So this isn't foreign turf that you're on now. And they should be. If they have any grace, if they have eyes to see and ears to hear, they should be seeing this stuff. Why does God permit evil? Well, we already said the first thing. That first message applies right there. When we left the Eternal Father, we turned to Satan, and this is our reward. So you kind of get what you deserve, if you will. With that being said, God doesn't abandon us. So let's go to Our Lady, July 24th, 1974. Very simple but profound. Our Lady answers the question right here. You cannot understand the ways of the Father. He permits these things that you find so confusing to understand, my child. He permits them for the eventual good. He will turn all evil to good, for no evil is ever triumphant. End of quote. Very simple and basic, but true. I like this quote. This is from the Catholic Catechism, good people. God created us without us, but he did not want to save us without us. That seems to ring a bell with Father Scott. St. Augustine, okay, because when I was doing some research or some reading on this, it said it was from the Catholic Catechism. Let's repeat that again. So important. God created us without us, but he did not want to save us without us. We have to cooperate Right, Father? We have to cooperate with God if we wish to be saved. If we really want our salvation, we have to cooperate with God. That's really, and so that's one of the reasons why God permits evil, because we're right in the midst of this raging war between good and evil. Literally, Our Lady said if you saw it, if the veil was to be lifted and you were to see this, what would happen? You would die. Our Lady said you would die. Okay, but as we've said so many times, who's in the middle? Who's in the middle of this raging war between, here's Our Lady and St. Michael, here's Lucifer and his minions, who's here? We are. It's a tug of war for souls. We're right in the middle. And so, really, if I can use a common expression here, the Father in heaven is saying, show me. Show me. If you profess to be Christian, if you identify as Christian, you prescribe to the gospel, to the beatitude, to the doctrine, the teachings of Christ, the Father has shown, show me, prove to me, give me the evidence that you love me. And one thing I always loved with Our Lady of the Roses in the message, Our Lady always said to strive, make the effort. Our Lady even said, the Father isn't necessarily looking for success. They're looking for effort. They want you to strive. And if you do that, you're on the road to heaven. If you don't, if you throw up your hands, if you throw in the towel, if you give up, if you reject, you're on the road to perdition. What was, I love that, anyone that went to the new Mass today, the first reading from Sirach, in tribulation, anyone remember that? In tribulation is the test of the just. That was the reading. Father, you remember that? In Sirach. I like that. In tribulation is the test of the just. We're going to be tested. You all have heard that. How many times have Our Lady and our Lord have said that in the message? I asked Daryl to look it up. I thought it was like 85 times. Well, Daryl said at least 10 times. I would have thought it was 85 times. They have said it over and over again. You will be tested like metals in the fire. That's another reason why God permits evil. How many times did Our Lady say you'll be tested like metals in the fire? Do we believe that? Do we believe that? No battle, no victory. No cross, no crown. How can you have a victory if there's no battle? It wouldn't even feel right, would it? It just would be yucky. No cross, no crown, and this is a good quote. Good excerpt from Our Lady on December 27th, 1975. Man has been given a free will, for the Father shall not force any into the kingdom, my children. You must want to come in. How do you like that? The Father shall not force any into the kingdom, my children. You must want to come in. So, there's some reflection for you for why does God permit evil? And the last question, where is the hope? The first thought that came to me is with all of this craziness, darkness, and pain and evil that we're experiencing in this world today, right? Where is the only place where darkness, pain, and evil is eternal? Where? Hell. This is not hell. This is not going to be permanent. Only hell is permanent, and you have that permanent or eternal darkness, pain, evil, desolation, and so forth. Keep that in mind. How many times have we said, Jesus, Mary, and St. Michael, they're going to win. We already know who's going to win. But what's the catch on this? What's the rub on this? We have to go through Good Friday to get to Easter Sunday. We're going to have to go through Good Friday to get to Easter Sunday. So remember that. But the other hope, Isn't it funny how Our Lady calls a fiery comet? What does she call it? Anyone? Yeah, but what's the terminology? Chastising comet? Or, huh? Cleansing comet. I find that hopeful. All of this evil, pain and darkness on the earth, Our Lady calls it a cleansing comet. Not so as terrible as it is, and it's destructive, but notice the choice of words, Our Lady, more hopeful. It's going to cleanse the world of this trash and garbage and evil and Satan. That's what it's called, a cleansing comet. So Christ will come again. Order will be restored. Social kingship of Jesus Christ will be restored. And I always remind James and all of the good fellows here that sometimes it gets so bleak and overwhelming, this terrible sin and darkness. But God, we have to remind ourselves, God is raising armies. There are a lot of good people out there that are trying and striving to do well. Look at the pro-life rosary rally last week. Is Cynthia here or Janice? No. The wonderful work they did in organizing hundreds of people there. And there's a lot of people like that are trying their best and trying with their goodness of heart, their goodwill, their good faith, and trying to, they're on the team of Jesus, Mary, and Joseph and St. Michael. So we have to remember that. And there's some beautiful examples. So that's inspiring to see that. We're not alone. Now, there's not that many of us, granted, but we're not alone.
And I wondered, I was thinking about that a little bit, about demon number 6 being chained and then unchained and then chained again. And what occurred to me was perhaps one of the reasons might have been when the Holy Father issued the motu proprio for the extraordinary form of the Mass. And that would have held back a lot of evil because of all that Veronica revealed about the changes and the offense to our Lord in the new Mass. So that was a thought I had.
Sure. Yes. Good point, and that's a good point. And it's these rosary rallies that the good people are doing, and the pro-lifers, and there's a lot of good priests and bishops. Some cardinals, I quoted some good cardinals, bishops. There are some good, God is raising his armies. He's not abandoning us. I want to make that very clear. I mean, we don't want to go around dragging a ball in a chain. Who's going to be attracted to us, to our mission, to our message, to our faith? So even Our Lady said, be of good cheer.
Well, and the other thing, Michael, is, of course, that we are supposed to pray for the Holy Father. That has been a constant appeal of Veronica, to pray for the papacy. So.
Right, and that's why we have the Sunday Holy Hour for the Pope and clergy. Every Sunday from 10:30 to noon for nearly 50 years, outdoors. And as I've told you many, many times, in your discipleship, when you're evangelizing, especially with the priest or bishop, that's the first thing you should say, if you will. It's disarming. Who's going to not like that? And so it's really powerful. And most priests, they appreciate it very, very much when they hear that you're having a holy hour outdoors. Always emphasize, underscore, underline, stress, outdoors. It's not in a church, in a warm church in the presence of the Blessed Sacrament, as powerful and as good as that is. It's outdoors, 5 below zero, rain, snow, 95 degrees, whatever. You're braving the elements for the Pope and clergy. And of course, we all know too, with Our Lady's message here, her promise, the basilica will be built in Bayside. Millions will come. There'll be a Carmel of Our Lady the Roses. That will be established as well on the holy grounds. The Order of St. Michael, in which we are the groundwork of the fellas here, James, Bill, John, Darrell, and myself, we're the groundwork for the Order of St. Michael with priests and brothers Our Lady's going to appear over the St. Robert Bellarmine Church. The waters will come up. Millions will come. Wow. Isn't that, as the kids say, isn't that cool? And you know what? You might say, yeah, but am I going to see it? In a sense, good people, because you're of good heart, does it matter? In a sense, does it? Yeah, sure, we'd like to see it, of course, but does it really matter at the end of the day? If you don't see it here, you're going to see it up there. And you've contributed your brick, or bricks, if you will, to this mission. You have contributed. So even if you get hit by a bus, okay, all right. Caroline, okay, wait a second, good people. I have a reason for saying that. Okay, I just want to, let me defend myself. James. Okay, I have to defend myself. The only reason why I said that is because Caroline was snoozing. And as soon as I said that, she went like, so it worked. So, but it doesn't really, you have contributed, good people. I say that from the bottom of my heart. It really doesn't matter if the good Lord calls you home tomorrow, next week. You have contributed to, we'd like to say, the greatest mission. The greatest mission on earth. And when we talk about where is the hope, look no further than the message of Our Lady of the Roses, Mary, Help of Mothers. The beauty, the power, the grace, the wisdom. Where would we be without this? We would be, sadly, as most of you have told me, you'd be on the road to perdition. You would not be in a good state. Most of you have told me that. And so we are so thankful because we have this guidance. We have the shrine, a refuge of grace and blessing. This can fortify us in this very difficult times when God knows we need this fortification. And how many times are you at wit's end? What am I going to do? Blessed Mother, you throw up your hands. You come to Bayside. If you want to be fortified, if you're desperate and you're looking for an answer or a solution, I'm serious. Step on those holy grounds, and you're going to enter into a shower of graces. And you're going to be fortified. You can quote me on that. You can quote me on that. And you're a lady of our Lord. You're going to feel the presence of Jesus and Mary, and you're ready to go on and fight the good fight. So that's why Our Lady said, review the messages. This is a treasure, a gold mine from heaven. It's amazing. I read that frequently. All of the fellas does. You hear Bill quoting it all the time. All the fellas. We read this 2 times a week after our Bible. We read from the Pink Book after our Bible session on Tuesdays and Thursdays. That's automatic. And so this is a gold mine. It's a treasure for $5. Give it to someone if you know they're going to read it. So there is the hope, good people. Continue with the battle. And as we always say, keep 2 steps out of trouble with a song in your heart. All right. God bless you.